decided if this is going on to Patreon or regular channel, because it is like kind of a personal story time, but just in case it's going on to regular channel, let's do some channel maintenance, some channel hygiene. So if you're new here, welcome to my nonsense, and if you're old here, welcome back, OGs. And if you're new here, please consider hitting subscribe. And if you're old here, go double check, make sure you're subscribed, hit the like if you like, leave a comment, give me anything related to the video. It could just be a hello, a few emojis, whatever, as long as it's cool and respectful. Hit the notification bell. As always, I will link my tip jars down yonder in the description box. No pressure whatsoever, but every dollar or 2 helps. That's what allows me to continue to make content. Also, you are invited to my Patreon. I know not everybody can come, but you can't say you weren't invited, and that's where a lot of my personal story times go, including this one, maybe. But today I'm going to talk about my ex-stepmother. What are we going to call her? Let's call her Laura. Laura. My parents divorced. My mom and biological dad divorced when I was like 3, I think, and that was an incredibly violent and crazy, and that story is on Patreon. So somehow my dad like evaded jail, or not long term anyways, and my mom had most custody of me, and my dad saw me, I guess, when he wanted to, and my mom let him. And I remember being really young, and he was dating just like a different girl. Every time I'd see him, there was like a different girlfriend, you know? Some of you might have had dads like that. So, after a couple of those cycles, I guess that probably lasted a few years, like from when I was 4 to 6, because when I was 6 years old, I had a girlfriend named Laura. Now my dad is disgusting, so Laura was 18 and my dad was almost 30, right? Supposedly, sorry, my neck is killing me. They waited until like, well, I don't think the story was never, they waited because there was never any question, but like later it was said that she was 18 when they met, but I don't trust that. She just happened to be 18. Even at 8. Ew. Now, she was also the youngest of 4, so she was a spoiled brat, like from jump, right? She should not have been dating. I know she's 18, and she didn't really know a lot, but she should not have been dating anybody with a kid. She wanted to be the kid, okay? But my mom said, and it's probably true, that when my dad started dating her, he started acting like he was a better dad than he was, just to like prove that he was a good dad, you know, or something of that nature. So he started getting me like more often, like every month or every other month or something. And my dad could not drive because he had so many DUIs. So Laura was like his ride to come get me, and there was hours in between where we lived and where they lived. So I was in the car. Anytime I wanted to go visit, it was like a couple hours there, and then at the end of the weekend, it was a couple hours back, and she would do all that, which probably did lead to some resentments. I don't know, not my business. I was a little kid. But they were married, and, you know, I would hear them fight on weekends, not like right in front of me, but like at night, and they would sometimes fight when we would go places. Like, I'd be in the back seat and they'd be fighting, and it's so uncomfortable, you know, like, I only see you guys once in a while, and you guys gotta fight like this. It's stupid. I can't really analyze the old fights because I was so young. Like, I know my dad was a jerk and she was like a brat, so bad combo, but fast forward, I'm finally a teenager, and they're still together. They were together for, I think, 6 years before they got married. They ended up getting married. It's funny because I was in the wedding, and so was my little brother. And my little brother's not theirs. Like, my little brother on my mom's side would like tag along with me a lot, and so they were like, they knew him, and so he was the ring bearer. He was in the wedding. So obviously, like, my mom did not care about that she had no hang-ups about her old relationship, right? But so they got married, and then, you know, some years later, I was a teenager, and I ended up, like, moving in with my dad. Like, I ran away from home I didn't really, like, that story's on my Patreon, too. I didn't really run away. Like, I didn't ever ride home one night, and then it turned into, like, I couldn't come home because I knew how pissed they were. Whatever. And then I got sent to live with my dad. Life at my mom's was horrible. So I thought that was gonna be better, right? But anyway, I get sent to live with my dad, and so this story is kind of about like that whole thing, like living with my dad and my stepmom. So I get there, and it's kind of nice at first because, like, I didn't have to do what I had to do at my mom's. Like, at my mom's, I had to babysit all my mom's kids all the time with no incentives, nothing. My mom worked second shift. I came home from school and I watched her kids, and I had to have the house clean. And it was just me, and she had 3 kids. She did that to me 3 times over. And because she worked second shift, I was getting up in the mornings to get those kids ready for school too. So when I got to my dad's, I was like, wow, what all I have to do is vacuum and like keep my own stuff clean. But Laura was a sight. Laura was like, any little thing I did, she thought like the worst of it, right? I'm trying to think of like one of the first incidents. Okay. It was like the beginning of a school year. And I remember I just got a job too, or I needed something for school, like school clothes, or I needed some pants or something. I don't remember what it was. And she had like a half day at work, and my dad was working a lot, so she was gonna take me to go get like these pants and stuff. Well, this was my first year driving, or even my friend drove. I don't remember that exact situation, but we did not realize how long it takes if you drive to school instead of walking, or instead of like taking the bus, how long it takes to get out of the parking lot, right? So we weren't doing anything wrong. Like, we literally, the bell rang. We met at either my car or her car, I don't remember. And we just had to sit there because you couldn't like back out the parking lot that we were in. Like, it was just, nobody was letting you out, you know? So it did take like a long time to go home from school that day. And when I got there, she was so pissed. You would have thought that like I got her fired from her job or something. Like, she was heated. She was on the phone with my dad, and this is before cell phones and stuff, and she was like accusing me of blowing her off and going to do whatever I wanted to do after school, knowing that she was supposed to, you know, take me to get some pants or some work pants or something. And I was like, I didn't. Like, my friend walked in the door with me too, and she was losing it, and she's like, what the? So she's like, she told my friend to get out and go home. And like, it did not matter what I said. Like, I was like, it takes that long to get out of that parking lot. She's like, bullshit, I went to school there. I'm like, yeah, a couple years ago. I didn't even say that because I was like raised to just not, you know. I should have. So like stuff like that. I remember when I did get in trouble. I got in big trouble one time. And it wasn't even my fault. Like, we got into it when we were out of town. Like, me and some friends got into it with somebody else out of town. Not really out of town, like out in the boonies. And like, their dad was a cop, and so we all wasn't even like yelling or like, I was just there. I was just there. It was stupid. And she was like, I remember when they picked me up, and she's like, oh, she's in a gang. Look at her clothes and stuff. Like, look at her outfit. That's like gang clothing. And I had on a t-shirt and jeans. Like, she was so freaking weird. What in the world was she talking about? Granted, like, I was from Chicagoland, and then she was from a different town, so like maybe I looked. I don't know. And then like one time I was hungover. I was a little hungover. And I remember her accusing me of like being on hard drugs. And I wasn't. Like, I was literally just, I drank. Like, I overdrank. And, yeah, I should have been in trouble for that. But what's with the hard drugs? Like, where are you getting this stuff from? And her and my stupid ass weirdo dad would read my notes and read my diaries. Not just that, but they would like, I knew they were, because they would ask me weird questions that I knew they had read exactly that about. So it's like they were like getting off, like they thought it was, like, how weird is that? Like, can you imagine you and your partner creeping around and like laying on the bed with your feet up in the air reading your 16-year-old daughter's notes to her friends and her diary and stuff? Like, so freaking weird. And then, let's see, like, her and my dad's relationship was so, they were both hot messes, and it was bad. I remember my dad would leave his pager behind, and he would get all kinds of like, it's not texts, it's like, if you don't know what pagers are or were, beepers, they were like, you usually got them through work back then, for your work to message you. But my dad's would get like messages on there, and then you could type in codes, and the codes meant something, and he would get like sexual codes, okay, on his beeper. And I'd have friends over, and so we were kind of doing it back to like the, you know, he would read my diaries and stuff, so we'd look at his pager like, oh, like, you're really out here, you know, doing all this dirt, and like, you, but y'all be in my diary. I'm not married. Why don't you guys work on that? So he was cheating all the time. She probably, I don't know, but I do remember when it finally came to a head. It finally came to a head, and she moved out. And he found out that for years, like a year at least, that she had been sleeping with her kickboxing coach. And I remember her getting like super ready for kickboxing and like throwing herself all into kickboxing, right? Which any other time, like, yeah, good for you. Like, this dude's, my dad's a piece of crap. But why don't y'all just like get divorced? What is this? What is this? And that's when my dad like really, really lost it. He was never home. He was never home. We ended up getting like a mouse problem, and he just wasn't taking care of it. He wasn't paying on the house. The house was going into foreclosure. He was drunk all the time, and I guess like he went over there. Like, she stayed with her mom for a while, and her mom must have been out of town, and she had the kickboxing coach over there, and somehow my dad knew and like went over there and got in a fight with the kickboxing coach. It was a hot clothes in the house. It was going under it. And he came home one day and told me that he was like, you gotta get out. I can't take care of you anymore. Like, that's how he said it. But I was like, but you aren't. Were you under the impression that you were taking care of me? Like, there was a few times, like the wife, Laura or whatever, she just kind of dipped, but there was a few times that she stopped by to get stuff or whatever. And she'd be like, is everything okay over here? And I'd be like, I guess. Haven't seen my dad in days, but sure. And she did say one time, like before she left, she was like, well, just so you know, like we were having problems before you ever moved in, so I'm like, okay. But anyway, yeah, she was like 12 years my senior. She was 12 years my senior. And she just kind of left me behind without really, like, you would think that, like, had I been dating this guy and we were a mess and I was, like, kind of starting to see things for what they were and I had left, I would call the mom, right? I would call my husband's ex-wife, mother of that child, and be like, I need to let you know that I gotta get out of here and he's probably not fit, whatever. I don't know how well informed I was keeping my mom because I did not want to go back there. And then at that point I did not have a choice. So I ended up having to go back. Well, she ended up, I think, moving to Chicagoland too for a while, but I never ran into her up there. And then she moved back to like her hometown. She had a kid. She has a kid there. I think that her kid is the same age as like my oldest kid. So like, who knows if they even know each other? I wouldn't know that kid's name. I don't know. She met the kid, and the marriage and everything after was with the kickboxing coach. It was with the kickboxing coach. I know that she did end up getting alopecia. So I don't know if I would recognize her if I saw her. Like, I am kind of in an area that I might, if she came close, I don't know, I might see her. I don't know if I would recognize her. I don't know what she looks like now. And sometimes it just hits me as so bizarre. Like, wait, that was my stepmom from ages 6 to 16. You know, and then to just dip like that is so weird. And like I said, she really had no business dating anybody. With a kid, you could not help but wonder, does she ever look back at that and be like, oh, that I was messy. I owe that child an apology for even being like, for being weird. I mean, that's just a few of the stories, but it was like every time I would do something, the littlest infraction would be, oh my god. I remember one time I had my cousin over. Okay, my cousin. And we were like hanging out downstairs and it was like getting late and she not in so many words, but like was like, you don't know what weird stuff is going on down there. Like, they shouldn't be down there alone. She was just always kind of like, what was that? Was it like a jealousy because she didn't want my dad to have a kid? Like, but you already knew that. Like, what inspires a lady to be that type of stepmom? Clearly, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that he was much older than her, and that was a weird dynamic, and that's probably why that big of an age gap, especially when there's a kid involved, and the one of the people is just still a teenager, just should not happen, you know? So, that is just a little insight to the stepmom experience.